Hi, how's everybody doing today? This is Rich here on behalf of Rich TV Live with our very special guest. It is the CRO of TAAT Lifestyle and Wellness, Tim Corkum. How you doing today, Tim?
Great, Rich. Thanks for having me.
Hey, thank you for joining us. It's been an incredible journey so far with TAAT Lifestyle and Wellness. You guys have been on a epic ride, especially in the last month as far as the stock is concerned. It's been a dream come true for investors. We've seen the stock literally go from 80 cents to like $3.16 today in a month, which
Yeah.
is spectacular. The company has had incredible hires, including yourself, over the last 30 days with huge members with experience in the cigarette industry, specifically with Philip Morris. So let's get right into it, Tim. Please tell us a little bit about your background and why you have joined the TAAT team.
Excellent. Yeah. Well, look, I was in tobacco, as you mentioned. I started my career really early in CPG. I did, a couple entry-level jobs with Kraft, with Quaker. So right in the sales level. Sort of did that with tobacco as well. So jumped over, started right at the ground level, entry level, was in sales, kind of worked my way up over the course of about 20 years. I did sales, marketing, trade marketing, planning, strategy. I even had a little stint in corporate affairs. But really, the most exciting and the thing that prepared me best for what we're doing now was really the last 4 years of my career there. And as you know, sort of the shift from that industry was really focused on sort of tobacco alternatives. So e-cigarette, vaping, this sort of thing. So I spent about 4 years. And what was great about that is with that product, there was a real intense focus on consumers. So we thought we knew consumers before, but when you had to try and transition them off of cigarettes onto e-cigarettes, you had to really understand them. So over the course of that 4 years, we literally followed consumers around. So we put a product in their hand and we followed them around for days and weeks, some of them. And when you do that, you really get to understand what's important to them. What are the things that they love? What are the things that they hate? What are their needs? What are their pain points? And, with e-cigarettes, one of the biggest pain points we never talked about was the whole addiction of nicotine. It never really came up. We weren't avoiding it. It just wasn't something we talked about. So when TAAT came along and said he, gave me a call and said, come on over here. And he was telling me about the product. He was, I got to meet some of the people. I knew SETI, but I got to meet Joe, got to meet some of the guys behind the scenes. And I said, this is really what I want to be part of, right? It's got smart people I can work with, a really good product, a good business idea, and enough challenge that, keeps me stimulated. And I think I can really add some value. So that's why I jumped on board.
Well, we're really happy to have you on board, and I know shareholders are really happy to have you on board. Since you've joined, the stock has been on fire. And today we're going to talk a little bit about some new packaging you guys had. So you guys put out a press release that stated that earlier this week that you have a new process that you've come up with that created a new design, I believe 3 new designs. Can you talk a little bit about that process and why you decided on those designs?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, look, the original packaging was nice. Actually, we get a lot of compliments on the original packaging. But when we came on board and we looked at that packaging and we looked at the packaging in the cigarette space, the tobacco cigarette space, particularly in the US, there was a distinct difference there. So the packaging was great based on the sort of old strategy and the consumer segment that it was targeting. Once the strategy became about tobacco consumers, then we had to look at tobacco packaging and align what we were doing with that. So really what we did is we were able to partner with a cigarette packaging designer and a marketing agency. We came up with, I think there was about 50 designs we looked at, all different variations, different colors, different things. And we showed it to some consumers. We did some consumer testing, narrowed it down, and ultimately came up with this design. And the feedback we've been getting since the press release is been super positive. It looks great, and we think it aligns really well with the tobacco cigarette market. So it's a bit modern. It's got a classic design, but fits in really well. So I'm really happy with it.
We got 56 people that are watching right now from all over the world. Thank you guys for joining us. If you guys have any questions for Tim or myself, please put them in the chat, okay? We'd also appreciate it if you guys hit the like button, and if you guys share this video on social media, more members of the community and more investors within TAAT might see this video and jump on the stream as well, so we can get a whole bunch of people that are interested in TAAT to join us, see this video, ask questions of myself or Tim while we're live, and maybe learn a little bit more about the company. And guys that are watching, congratulations on all your success. I know all of you guys are winning, and I know a lot of you guys are asking about us sending samples. So I just want to make sure everyone knows that nobody has received TAAT yet. TAAT isn't on any shelves yet. There's nobody getting TAAT yet. So we are working closely with TAAT, and when they give us the samples to distribute to you guys, we will get them to you, but we can't rush this process. Okay. This is a slow and steady process, but we promise you guys, as we promised before, we will be sending out samples, especially to the American investors first, because that's what we can legally do. And we're going to do everything properly by the book. Okay. Just like how TAAT has been doing everything properly and having massive success, we also want to align with TAAT and do everything properly to make sure that when you guys receive those samples, it's done properly, legally, legitimately, in areas where we can distribute. And that's going to lead to my next question. A lot of people are asking, with the production capabilities you guys have set up, what will be the potential revenues for the first 6 months of launching the TAAT cigarettes? I know we're getting close to the launch. What kind of revenues can the investors and shareholders expect?
Look, let me focus on the first part of your question. And now you're in my wheelhouse, supply and demand. This is the stuff I like to talk about. So when you look at sort of supply and demand, when you think about it from a consumer-driven product, it's really, that phrase is a bit backwards. You should be looking at it in terms of demand and supply, right? If we start with the consumers, because consumers pull from retail stores pull from wholesalers pull from us, the manufacturer, and of course we pull from our suppliers, and so forth and so on. So let's think of it in that context. Let's go back to the consumers as I go to answer your question on revenue. And I'm just a simple sales guy, but let me see if I can break this down in my simple sales math so that everybody's clear on how I like to look at it, okay? So you have consumers. Consumers are smoking about, in the US today, about 13 sticks a day, okay? When I do the math on that consumption, the amount of packs they would buy, and what that works out to, one consumer would bring us, I'm going to round here, but approximately $750 a year, which doesn't sound that exciting, right? Consumer, $750 a year. But just wait till you see the power of how this math works, right? If we look at a convenience store now the average convenience store will sell, and I'm going to round up here, I'm going to say 100 cartons a week. It's probably less than that. It's probably 85, but remember, I need simple math. So I'm going to say 100. They sell 100 cartons a week. So there's 10 packs in a carton. They're selling 1,000 packs a week. If the average consumer is buying 5 packs a week, that means the average store has about 200 consumers, 200 cigarette consumers that come in every week, buying their packs week over week, okay? Now imagine TAAT is able, of those 200, to get just one of those 200. I don't think that's far-fetched, right? No. And I don't think it's far-fetched because I've tried the product, I've seen it, I know where we're at, I know what we're going to do. So I think one is very conservative, I can tell you, right? So that's one store, that's my 7. Now imagine we launch in a market where there's 10,000 stores, okay? So one state can easily have 10,000 convenience stores. So now the math starts to get interesting. Instead of 750, we're now talking about 7.5 million, right? Numbers get a little more exciting, but still not super crazy. Not as exciting as the stock price over the last, couple of weeks, but still exciting, all right?
Yeah.
Now, in the US, Rich, there's 152,000 convenience stores, just convenience stores. Now do that math at 750. If I still only get one consumer in each one of those stores, we're now talking about $110 million.
Wow.
Now, if you agree with me and you think one is a very conservative number, we could get two, we could get three, maybe five, maybe 10. Start doing the math there. And this is a super exciting opportunity that we're about to get neck deep into in the coming weeks. So I'm super excited. So that maybe paints a bit of a picture, long-winded answer, but paints a bit of a picture of really what we're talking about here.
So for an investor that's looking at the next 6 months, would a $20 million in revenue be a good estimate?
Look,
that's my math. That's my, I don't know if I'm right or wrong. I'm just sitting here thinking, okay, well, let's do the math. Let's say you guys do 10 million over 3 months, 3 million a month in revenue. So over 6 months, 20 million in revenue. That would be a really good start for a startup company to do 20 million in revenue in 6 months.
Yeah, look,
it's giving an estimate in my brain with what I think could be reasonable. And obviously this is just estimates. So guys, these are forward-looking statements. Remember, Rich TV Live is strictly for education, entertainment purposes, and always consult a financial advisor when you hear me talk about these types of numbers, because this is all estimates. There is no guarantees of anything, right? This is pre-sales. But I'm just sitting in my mind thinking, based on the numbers, that maybe that would be a reasonable target. I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, it's not crazy, but there's a bit of complexity that goes into it, right? And some exciting things as well. So imagine you're putting it in just 5,000 of those stores, and we have, you saw from the brands, we have 3 SKUs. Now, every store is going to need a couple of cartons of 3. So every store is going to get 6 cartons. So now you have your pipeline volume that goes out. So when I'm talking to distributors and we're talking about the initial quantity for them to order, they're not ordering by the case. We're now talking about, potential truckloads. So that becomes that first order going in is all pipeline. Then we're selling them the backfill, because as soon as we sell them the pipeline, they send it out, put it in the stores. I'm oversimplifying here, of course. I'm a sales guy. That's part of my job. But the pipeline goes into the stores, and then we got to backfill. So there is some complexity. Once those products start to turn and we start getting that 1, that 2 per store, then the number really just the sky's the limit, Rich.
I'm super excited. I can't wait to see the revenues grow. Yeah. How many different markets will you be entering with the launch?
Yeah, look, we're going to start in one market. So we picked a state that probably will reveal shortly, but we've picked a state. We're working now with the retailers in that state, the wholesalers in that state, to get it all set up. And so when we pick a market, we start thinking about a couple of different things, right? So the first thing is, we have to look at what the cannabis regulation is to make sure that combustible hemp can be sort of legally sold there. So that becomes a criteria in terms of where and how many we go. Then, of course, we look at tobacco regulation. Doesn't apply to us, but and of course, most of the US has the same regulation, but if you look sort of other international opportunities, you're starting to go, what's the tobacco regulation? Because if we have a very favorable position against that, then that gives us a lot of marketing room to maneuver too. We also look at tobacco taxation. So what's the incidence of tobacco taxation in that market? Because again, that just gives us one more lever to pull when we're trying to move, people in the sort of tobacco space over to us. And, I can't tell you the number of calls I get every week from different markets. We've had discussions with the Middle East, Africa, obviously Europe, some of the Caribbean islands. we've talked to. So we're getting calls from all over, which is nice. It's exciting that people are reaching out saying, hey, I've been following you, see what you have. I run distribution in this market. I want your product. I can take it. Now, having said all that, one of the sort of the kisses of death of any of these businesses in these situations, we've seen it with cannabis, is focus. We've got to focus. So as exciting as all these other opportunities are, we're really laser dialed in, focus on this one market, getting it right, getting it out there. We have the ability to pivot and tweak if there's something that's not perfect. And then we've got our eyes set on the next sort of 4 or 5 states we want to roll out into. I think really the way we've set up the strategy is really good.
Now, assuming that you're successful in getting the product onto some retail store shelves, are you able to share with some of the marketing plans that you guys are using to help get off the shelves and into the hands of customers?
Yes and no. Yes and no. I don't want to give away too many details at this point because there are some stuff we want to keep close to our chest. But I'll say on the good side, Rich, we have total freedoms. If we wanted to, we could do commercials on TV, right? If we wanted to, we could do some crazy stuff that would be super exciting. But we also have to be mindful. Today more than ever, society expects us to operate in an ethical, in a responsible manner. We've got some, I'll call them cousins in the industry that have recently come under a lot of fire for some of their marketing practices. And, some of the responses have really, I'll say, neutered them from a marketing standpoint of what they can do and hurt the industry as a whole. So while we have a lot of freedoms of, marketing initiatives to do, we're going to really hold hard and fast. We're not targeting people under age 21. We're not targeting people who don't currently smoke. We want adult smokers who are looking for an alternative to consider TAAT as the alternative of choice for them. And we'll design our marketing tactics around to be very clear that those are the people that we want to adopt TAAT as their brand of choice.
That's great. Now, I'm sure you guys have revenue targets, sales targets, distribution targets, and so on. So tell me, Tim, ultimately, when will you know that TAAT is meeting the expectations you have for the brand's success?
Yeah, look, I think you're absolutely right. There's going to be lots of standard KPIs targets, right? We have our sales targets, our revenue targets. We're going to have fulfillment targets with our wholesale network. We're going to have a lot of digital targets with the assets, our people jumping on our website, are people buying product, are people, getting into our database, all these kinds of things, there'll be targets. But if I was to keep it, real simple, I've gone on a couple of questions you've asked me here, but if I was to keep this one short and simple, for me, success is, look, when we can get to a point where consumers are walking into the store, right? And they're legitimately contemplating TAAT as, a real credible alternative to the pack that they have in their hand or the pack that they're used to smoking, and they buy TAAT and they rebuy TAAT and they tell their friends about it and they stick with it. For me, it'll be staying real close to the consumer, and when I can see them making those choices, that for me will be how I'll be watching success. The numbers are great, but I'll want to see it in the eyes, in the hands of consumers right at the point of purchase.
Now we have 100 members that are watching. So I want to get into some of their questions, if you don't mind. If you guys have a question, please put it in the chat right now. We are live with Tim Corkum, the CRO of TAAT Lifestyle and Wellness. For those of you guys that don't know, TAAT has been a huge success story. Over the last month, we have seen the stock go from under $1 to today it hit a personal all-time high of $3.16. Many of the investors that are watching right now from all over the world are already up big. Congratulations. And it's funny watching a stock go from a penny stock when this started, it was at 41 cents, to where now it's a mid cap, small cap stock at $3.16. It's approaching, once it gets to $4.11, and I say once because it's going to happen at this point because the momentum is just unbelievable with the stock, it literally will be up 1,000% once it gets to $4.11. It will be up 1,000%, which means you guys would have made 10 times your money. And within our community, we literally talked to all our members about this before they even went public. So pre-IPO, all members could have got in at 41 cents. And IPO day, because of all the excitement, it opened up at 67. Since it opened up at 67, since day one, it's up another 400%. So if you bought it pre-IPO at 41, you're laughing, you're up almost 1,000%. If you bought it day one, you're up 400%. Any way you slice it, this has been a huge winner for our members. So congratulations, everybody. And congratulations, Tim, for joining really one of the hottest stocks on the planet right now. And I don't think there's any stopping it. I remember when I first started and we were talking about it being a penny stock, and now I'm looking at this as a $5 or $10 stock. Yeah. And we've talked to Seti Coscarello about this, and he believes that there's a $5 billion market cap opportunity here. Now, the market cap right now is a fraction of that. Yeah. So we still have a long ways to go. And I want to answer some of these questions here. What are the international countries that TAAT wants to enter? Any plans on international countries that you might be looking at in the future?
Yeah, look, there's a lot of interesting markets out there, and you know, one of the real positive things here, Rich, is that I mean, currently we're linked inherently to cannabis, right? You know, with our base cigarette material being hemp. And the good thing about that is there's this global trend happening, this awakening, this acceptance, this push for people to, you know, as cannabis is making its way into different markets, legalization and all these different things. And that's great for us because that becomes sort of a wedge, a gate opener, if you will, for us to enter a market. And like I had mentioned earlier, if you think about some of the key things that are important to us in terms of the market dynamics and the environment when we go, then that ultimately determines. I mean, there's a lot of exciting countries, obviously in the EU. The UK is certainly interesting. We've had conversations about even Australia. You know, pack price, a cigarette pack price in Australia today is $50 a pack. It's unreal. And so you have some of that dynamic. Even UK is expensive. UK is very, call it e-cigarette friendly. What that means is you have a lot of smokers looking for alternatives. So these become factors that really determine where we go. As I mentioned, we've talked to somebody about Israel. We've talked to somebody who controls a good chunk of Africa, Middle East as well. So we've got a lot of potential opportunities. But again, we don't want to get ahead of ourselves because we've got a huge, a mammoth opportunity and challenge just sort of breaking into the US market. And so we really want to focus there. But the beauty is we're going to cut our teeth there. We're going to get tons of learnings. As much as I claim to know, there's still a lot of learnings that'll happen as we roll out. So that's really the focus for us.
And there's a couple, I know the answer to this, but I'm just going to ask it to you. What is the price of a pack of TAAT cigarettes in the United States?
So look, in our test market, in our first market that we launch in, look, we'll be looking at a very competitive price point that's down in the fourth tier of the cigarette category. So I think consumers in that market can expect something probably in and around the $3.99 price point, which will be very good relative to the price of tobacco cigarettes in that market. So I think it'll certainly make it an easy internal conversation for a consumer about whether or not they're willing to sort of lay out that type of money to try a new product. And I think at that price point, they will. I think for sure they will. So yeah, we're excited.
I agree. And any ideas or any plans to, now that you guys are at $3.16, the CSE is a really small exchange in Canada. Are you guys looking to now talk to the Toronto Stock Exchange and maybe the NASDAQ or the New York Stock Exchange? Because you guys are now getting to that price point where you can justify graduating to a senior exchange, and that would bring in a whole world of institutional investors.
Yeah, for sure. And these are conversations we're having. And we're looking, I can't say that the TSX is really on our radar. We're looking sort of south of the border. And so we've got our sights set on that. But there's a lot of different complexities that come into play, as you know, probably better than I do, actually, in terms of what goes into where you want to be listed and the requirements and, you know, all the things that come with that. So SETI's told me not to focus on that side. He says, look, Tim, I brought you here, commercialize this product, get it going. Let me focus on that stuff. And we've got some really strong people focused on that. And yeah, I think you'll see some changes in the future there for sure.
Now, a lot of people are asking about a buyout. And we're going to get into the news today, actually, because huge news today. Actually, let's get into that news first of all, actually, because this is exciting. And obviously the market loved the news. Michael Saxon, former growth strategist for Altria and Philip Morris International, appointed to TAAT's advisory board. So yet another Philip Morris executive. You guys now have 3, including yourself, that were previous Philip Morris executives. For those of you guys that are watching that do not know Philip Morris is the largest tobacco company in the world. So you guys are obviously coming in with lots of experience about the sector. I love all 3 hires. What do you think about this new hire of Michael Saxon? Do you have a relationship with him before this? Is this someone that you're working now with for the first time? Tell me a little bit about this.
Yeah, look, I actually was fortunate enough to meet Michael 10, 12 years ago when he first joined the organization. We found ourselves together at the same sales and marketing conference for PMI. I think at that time he had just been brought in from Altria, and he was leading the Nordics, which is really a great, I mean, it speaks to sort of the confidence the company had in his ability and what he could do, bringing him over from Altria and right into such a senior leadership role. You know, I'm most excited about his background with Altria. So as much as he accomplished and as much as he did with PMI, he's also got some, you know, equally great accomplishments from his time at Altria. And, you know, because we're tackling the US market, to have somebody with some, you know, greater knowledge of that space and, you know, the retail environment, the consumer environment, you know, down in the US, that's the part I'm most excited about, to try and leach some of that information out of him. And, you know, the conversations we've had with him so far have been great. He is super pumped about the product. He's excited to be part of it. I think even as we signed him on from an advisory perspective, he's like, look, I just want to be clear. I'm not here just for, you know, you to call me once in a while when you need some info. I want to be a working advisor. I'm engaged in this product. I think it's brilliant. I think it's a great idea. I think it's got lots of potential. So if anything, we're going to have to hold this guy back. He's so excited to be working on it. And so we're really excited to have him, you know, at our disposal and helping guide us through what, you know, the challenges we have ahead. So it's great. Couldn't be happier.
So Tim, we got 123 people watching, and everybody's excited right now. Everybody's excited. I'm excited. This has been one of the best companies that we've ever worked with as far as results, as far as amazing management team. You guys are so transparent doing these calls. I love it. And I know that that's creating a lot of excitement for investors. Now 125 people watching. The biggest question that everybody asks, is this going to be a buyout? All of these shareholders want to hold on to these shares. They don't want to see this company get bought out. They want to see this go to $50 one day. Is this a buyout target?
Yeah, look, it depends. I mean, there's arguments on all kinds of side of this, right? So, you know, maybe the other thing is, you know, are other people a buyout target at the rate we're going, Rich? I don't know. Maybe there's something, but certainly when you talk buyout, you've got the cannabis space, you've got the tobacco space, you've got probably those are probably the two biggest ones. But across the tobacco space, you have different companies. You've got the behemoths like Altria and Philip Morris, and then you've got little guys too that you know, right now are pretty flush. So I think there's potential there. It's certainly not our play. We see a big opportunity. I think we'd rather be a buyer than a seller, but who knows? You never know what's going to happen, right?
I like that answer. Well, you know what, guys? I think that's enough for today. I'd love to sit here and answer all you guys' questions. We got 128 people here. Is there anything else you want to leave everyone with, Tim, before we say goodbye?
Yeah, look, no, I mean, first off, thanks for the opportunity to speak with you and get in front of some of our followers, our investors, our supporters. It's always great to have that opportunity. So thanks for that. You know, all I can say is I'm super excited. We're pre-revenue right now, and I got to touch and hold the latest version of the product this week. Was sent from Joe from Las Vegas. He's sending us, you know, every time he's making a change, a positive change to the blend, he's sending it to us. The one we saw this week is really spectacular. We got some anecdotal feedback from, you know, some people around. When you run into a smoker and you have this and you let them try it and you get the feedback and you get that sort of reassurance from someone who's, you know, right there in the thick of it, it's great. So we're going to production very shortly. I'm having super positive conversations with distributors, some major retailers. I can't say too much at this point, obviously, but I think there's a lot of big news to come. And I think we're just getting started.
I'm super excited. Congratulations on all your success. Congratulations on joining this team. I'm really, really impressed with everything you guys have done. I know our entire community is super excited and super happy with the results. Obviously, everybody's been winning. Hopefully, we just continue to win, and this continues to be a huge success story for years to come. And thank you for your service. Thank you for your time. Thank you for joining us as well. And I'd love to have you back on soon. Anytime there's any big news or you'd like to get on the show and just talk like this, we'd love to be able to have this opportunity for you. So please join us again. And thank you for all your hard work. And once again, guys, thank you for joining us. Tim Corkum, the CRO, Chief Revenue Officer of TAAT Lifestyle and Wellness. And for all of you guys that are watching, thank you guys for watching. If you're not winning, you're probably not watching. We bring you the winners and we bring them to you first. And we brought you TAAT first. And I hope you guys love the results because, like Tim said, it's just getting started and it's almost up 1,000%. Congratulations, guys. Thank you, Tim. Have a great day. Thank you for joining us. We'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, Rich.
Thank you, guys. Have a nice day, everybody. Thank you for joining us. Smash the like button, comment down below, and subscribe for more updates. We'll see you soon. Have a nice day.